The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
And welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Tier Tuesdays here on the HighLowSports podcast. We are one away from the end of the regular season, our second to last one for the NFL regular season. Appreciate you all for joining us here today. Kelsey is out for today, so it'll be just me going through the tiers today. So we're going to run through these really quickly. Let's go ahead and take a look at them. From top to bottom, we have the favorite, the Baltimore Ravens. There's no need to explain it. When you absolutely dismantled the Dolphins and the 49ers in 6 days and outscore them both by a combined 50-ish points, you're definitely the favorite heading into the final week of the season. NFC favorite, the 49ers. They've cruised through most of the season, too. Everyone besides the Ravens, they cleared the two number one seeds, get their own tiers. We got playoffs with an exclamation point. The Browns, the Cowboys, the Lions, and the Rams. They've all clinched. They're all going to get a playoff game that is locked in. And they all feel really good about it. You got the Cowboys leading the division, the Lions clinching, the Rams somehow getting a 6-seed spot, if I'm not mistaken, and the Browns locking up the 5-seed. Playoffs, but WTF, these teams have either clinched and they're going to the playoffs, but there's a lot of concerns, or they're expected to clinch, or there's a lot that could happen. We got the Chiefs and the Eagles right off the top. The castles have been crumbling for both of those teams recently. They have not looked great. The Eagles losing to the Cardinals, the Chiefs surviving against the Bengals. The Bills and the Dolphins, these two are playing head-to-head Sunday night, the last game of the regular season. Winner's taking the division. Loser might miss the playoffs altogether. I think if the Bills lose, they can miss the playoffs altogether. So this is one we're going to keep an eye on. Both these teams look like they could be playoff bound, but ooh-wee, that is something to keep an eye on. And then Tampa Bay leading the NFC South. They beat Carolina in the last week. They are in. They will clinch the division. Looks like they should go. AFC South, right now, arguably the best division besides the AFC North. All three of these teams sitting at 9-7. One of them is winning the division, and there's a chance that one of the other ones can make the wild card spot. If Jacksonville and Indy both win, they will both make the playoffs. And there's a path to where if Indy wins and Jacksonville loses and Houston wins, that they can make it as well. There's a very strong chance that two of these teams will be making the playoffs, so they get their own tier. Not out of it yet, the Bengals, the Packers, the Vikings, the Steelers, the Seahawks, and the Saints all are right in the thick of it. They're not mathematically eliminated. They will need some help, obviously. It's not as they don't control it by themselves, but they have a chance to get in. And I think looking at this, the Seahawks have the best chance to get in, I'd imagine, with the Saints not far behind. They just need a little help from Carolina. But none of these teams are eliminated. They're all in the thick of it, but it has been a rocky season for at least a few of these teams, especially the Bengals, who did not expect to be in this position. Fun offseason ahead. These teams, they're not going to the playoffs, but they're gonna have some fun. They're gonna have some fun this offseason. The Bears keep Justin Fields. Do you go get Caleb Williams? What do you do with that number one pick? Do you change the head coach? You won 5 of your last 7 games. You are cooking. You almost look like last year's Lions, and you have 2 top 10 picks. Curious to see what they do in the offseason. Atlanta, you need a new head coach and a quarterback, but everything else looks damn good. Broncos, copy and paste. Russell Wilson's all but gone. The question is what happens with Sean Payton and what do they do going forward, because they've traded away every pick they've ever had, it feels like. So we're going to have to see what goes on there. Cardinals, you got 2 first-round picks coming up as well. Kyler Murray, since he's come back, the team has looked very, very competitive. They just beat the Eagles. They've won a lot of close games. They're picking number 4 right now, so we'll see what direction they decide to go in. Do they go after a Marvin Harrison Jr. if he's there? Do they trade back and stockpile on more picks for one of those quarterback-needy teams? We'll have to keep an eye there. And the Raiders, do you keep Antonio Pierce as the head coach? Is Aiden O'Connell the quarterback? It's some moving parts there, because you've had a really, really strong back half of the season. But we'll have to see if they want to stick with what they're going with now or if they want to make some changes. Next, we got bad. These teams, it's just been a bad season. The Chargers, injuries, incompetent coaching, everything's been rough for them. They're going to need a new head coach, a new GM. They've basically cleaned house. They need to find somebody who can maximize the Justin Herbert window that they have. And on top of that, they have the worst salary cap situation besides the Saints. So they're going to have to find someone who can work some magic and probably cut some of those players. Washington, top 5 pick. Had a lot of really promising moments, just floundered and have the worst defense in the NFL comfortably. So they're going to have to move some parts around. Ron Rivera's probably gone. Is Eric Bieniemy going to get promoted? We'll have to wait and see. The Giants and the Jets, they're just the New York teams at this point. It's been a rough season for both of them. We're just going to skip past them. The Patriots, you're going to pick in the top 3. Do you go get a quarterback? Does Bill Belichick try to outsmart himself? Is he even still there? There's a lot of moving parts, and it's going to be interesting for the Patriots, but it's been a bad season by their standards. Tennessee Titans, we'll see. Will Levis got injured last week. We'll see if he can play in the final week, but they got some old players, and they got a little bit of retooling to do in the offseason. And then the Panthers, they get their owners now throwing drink-throwing owner. That's the tier they get because it's a mess. They're the worst team in the NFL, and they don't even have their pick to show for it. So for the Panthers, it's going to be a rough offseason. Whoever ends up being the head coach there, I wish them good fortune because they have a lot of work to do there. But this is what we're looking at for Tier Tuesdays. Let us know in the comments down below what ones we got right, what we got wrong, and how you think it's going to play out. And be sure to tune in again next week for our final Tier Tuesday of the NFL regular season. We appreciate y'all for joining us here, and we'll see you all again next time.